Today we visited a Bhutanese refugee camp. As we traveled the 3 hours there, I tried to prepare myself for what I would see. My thoughts kept turning to the scenery around me. I saw breathtaking landscapes and beautiful people. Each of these people represented a life, a family, a story, but also hopelessness. So few of them will ever hear the story of Jesus or have the opportunity to know him. Many of them live in poverty, starving because their religious beliefs prevent them from eating the cattle that seem to be everywhere. As we reached the refugee camp, children appeared from everywhere. They stared and were curious about us, but they maintained their distance, unsure about us. We reached into our bags and pulled out some candy. The uneasiness and doubt fade in the blink of an eye. Children crowd around the car, smiling and laughing. Once a child gets a piece of candy, he runs to tell a friend who comes hopeful and expectant that he will also receive candy. It was chaos, but the good kind, filled with laughing and loudness. I couldn't help but relate the scene to the message of Jesus, the message of hope. When Jesus came into the world, people were hungry for a change. They wanted to know this new hope. But as I looked around, I could see some of the children still holding back, unsure, not yet willing to trust. This is what happened with Christ's message. Some readily accepted, others were unsure and stayed back and watched and waited. We got out of the car and walked a half-mile to the pastor's house. As we walked, some of the children we had given candy to showed us the way. We walked past bamboo hut after bamboo hut. People seemed to stare out of every door and every crack in their very leaky homes. There was a feeling of sadness, of hopelessness. They were stuck in a camp with very little other than hurts and their UN rationed rice and lentils, unable to return to their homeland. As we reached the pastor's home, the whole atmosphere changed. It was still raining and we were still slipping in the mud. But there was hope. Smiles and laughter greeted us. We had a meal together. They offered us their best. After visiting and eating, we walked across the path and into the church. We worshiped with them. I saw Christ come and meet with those people. I saw peace and joy on their faces as they worshiped. Watching them worship filled me with hope that Christ's message would be shared with the 22,416 people living in this refugee camp, of which 400 are Christians. Today, at the conclusion of the worship service, our team leader asked me to pray a prayer of blessing and encouragement on the pastor. Instantly, I was dialoguing with God. God, how can I possibly have anything of value to say? Here is a man who has been pastoring for 16 years. He lives in a refugee camp and has given everything for the call of Christ. At that moment, Christ spoke quietly to my heart. I am using you to bless him. You can't reach the thousands of people in this camp, but you can encourage the man who will. I knew it wasn't about what I had to say, but that I was there. I represented you, believers across the world who haven't forgot that in a refugee camp in Nepal, there's a man who has given everything to reach 22,000 of his neighbors. It wasn't about me. It was about God using me to lift him up, to encourage him and his family, and to remind you that we are not alone. Across the world, there is a bamboo church, and the believers who meet in that church have prayed for you and are praying for a church called A.L.I.V.E.